Airbnb started out to be a cheap alternative to hotels and resorts, but you got above yourself.
This is a result of people buying up homes for Airbnb during COVID. And now that taxes are up 50% and insurance is up 40 to 50%, the Airbnb profits are nil.
I lose $25,000 a year on this Nashville Airbnb.
So today we're going to be taking a look at the Airbnb market and why it's not worth it for most people anymore. Whether you're a guest and get a list of chores to do before you leave along with the ridiculous fees, or you're a host trying to make money with Airbnb arbitrage and all of that kind of stuff. We have a lot to go over today along with comments from you guys from previous videos. So if you want to be featured on a future video, leave in the comments down below. But let's just jump right into it with this guest experience.
So we're at this Airbnb and the pool is freezing even though we paid for the heat. And the owner is refusing to turn the heat on, saying that it's not working and whatever. All you gotta do is come to the side of the house, find this machine that heats up the pool. Even though it's locked, you could still stick your fingers inside like that and push all the buttons in order to get it hotter. It was on 60 degrees, it's now on 86. It's nice and warm, we just finished swimming.
So this was deliberately locked by the hosts just so they don't have to pay for heating the pool. That's probably a big sell when it comes to Airbnb guests, and I bet they're already getting hit by high prices along with all of the other fees, so this just starts to make it seem not worth it at all. Charging for heat is crazy to start off with, I agree. These Airbnb owners are going to drive everyone back into hotels. You should explain to Airbnb that the heat didn't work and they still charged you. And I asked you guys in an older video, do you still use Airbnb? No, I hate living next to one. With all the fees and chores before you leave, absolutely not. It's cheaper and more convenient to just get a regular hotel. No, I never have and never will. The fact that they use secret video surveillance, they demand you do all the cleaning and impose surprise fees. No, hotels all the way. Never have, never will. Never did, rather stay in the hotel. I think you guys get the point. And I feel like this is the overwhelming sentiment for most people now.
Airbnb hosts are on here complaining about, no one wanting to book their properties or anything like that. And it made me think about a lot of business models that aren't, thriving like they used to be. Airbnb started out to be a cheap alternative to hotels and resorts, but you got above yourself. And one thing that never understood to me, you started letting the hosts make the price and the fees, like adding cleaning fees and all. Who wants to go on vacation? Like, the problem is when you started letting hosts control the fees, people really started realizing it's not convenient. At a hotel, that's the convenience of the front desk. It might be free breakfast, free concierge. Maybe they'll order you, have the information that you might need for a car service, that type of thing. With Airbnbs, some of these, they want you to clean. They tell you can't have people over to your own Airbnb. They have cameras in weird places. They're monitoring you like you're a child. You have become the big brother nobody wanted.
And we got a comment from you guys that adds on to this. Chores on top of a $300 cleaning fee is absolute madness. So it doesn't even matter if you leave the place spotless, you're still going to get charged. And if you've seen any of the hustle culture online since COVID, you've definitely heard people buying up real estate specifically for Airbnb. And now a few years later, they are way in over their heads and losing a ton of money every single year.
I lose $25,000 a year on this Nashville Airbnb, and I'm gonna walk through the process with you. I'm not a real estate guy. This is probably not a great financial investment, but that's okay. We're learning, so I'm gonna kind of bring you guys along with the journey to possibly making my Airbnb profitable. I bought the home 2 years ago for $620,000 at a 6.99 interest rate. $2,000 loss in January, $600 profit in February, $1,500 loss in March, $700 loss in April, $2,000 loss in May, $2,400 profit in June, and we are in July currently, and we have had 0 bookings. Probably on me, but that brings us to a $4,500 loss. I'm rounding, but kind of gives you guys the scope. So as it sits this current year, we have lost $26,906.99. That'll be our loss for the year. It's actually more, but boy math, I don't factor that in. So that's where we're at, current loss.
He doesn't add in the cost of cleaning fees and utilities as well, so this is probably around $30,000. At this point, wouldn't you call it quits? He even said he's not a real estate guy, so it's almost guaranteed he saw somebody else online talking about how easy it was to make money off of Airbnb, just buy a whole bunch of these properties. He paid $620,000 at a 7% interest rate, and now because of that, he's bleeding money. I mean, $4,500 lost in 1 month if he doesn't get any bookings. That's not a situation that I want to be in whatsoever. We got another comment from you guys right here. Last time I used Airbnb, we had to wash all the towels, strip all the bedding, load the dishwasher, take out all the garbage and recycling, and then for the last 2 hours of our stay, the owner sat outside in his car and watched us and waited for us to leave. It was very creepy and annoying. I don't know, at least for me, I'm not a real estate guy whatsoever. I don't want to be a landlord or an Airbnb host, and along with clips like this, it cements my decision.
The Galveston real estate market is getting its ass beat right now. Galveston alone has over 1,300 active listings, which translates to over 20 months of inventory, and Tiki Island has over 80 listings, which equates to about 8% of all the homes on the island. This is a result of people buying up homes for Airbnb during COVID, and now that taxes are up 50% and insurance is up 40 to 50%, the Airbnb profits are nil. Take a look at Jamaica Beach, for example, where people really want out. The average price is down 12%. New listings are up a shocking 133%, and days on market is up 81% year over year. The scary thing is 200 homes were listed for sale in Galveston in the last 30 days, and that's still down 13.9% year over year, which tells me that even though insane amounts of inventory are hitting the market, sellers are just losing hope.
And that's just a couple small areas. We'll take a look at a lot more places throughout the video. But one of the biggest issues, other than people not having expendable income, so they're not going on vacation as much, which turns into not booking Airbnbs as much, is that many areas all over the country and the world are straight up banning Airbnb.
A federal judge just told Airbnb they don't have the right to short-term rentals in New Orleans. I'm Cassie Sherm. I'm an investigative reporter here in New Orleans. And guys, here's why this is a game changer and could restrict some people. So Airbnb and some local property owners sued the city, saying that the new rental rules by the city council were vague and caused major financial losses, especially for those who spent thousands of dollars fixing up properties to live. But the judge shut it down, saying that there's no fundamental right to turn your home into a short-term rental. The decision keeps the city's ordinance in place. That law forces Airbnb and other platforms to verify listings before people can even book, basically cracking down on unlicensed rentals.
So now you can't make any profit in those areas, and the only thing you could do is either live there or sell it. And with how the market is right now, especially if you overpaid like that guy in Nashville, you're going to be losing quite a bit of money. But we could take a look at a couple more nightmare scenarios if you are an Airbnb host.
In February of 2025, a woman named Rashan Douglas, who owned a property in Northeast Washington, D.C., she was renting out her house on Airbnb, and she got a booking request from someone named Shadia Romero for 32 days, which seemed straightforward enough at the time. Shadia said that her apartment had caught fire and she needed temporary housing while the damage was being repaired. And for the first month, everything appeared to be running normally. Shadia was staying there, presumably paying for her stay through the platform, and Rashan probably figured this was just another routine booking. But when March 29th came around, that scheduled day end of the 32 reservation, things completely went off the rails, because Shadia didn't just pack up and leave. Instead, she informed Rashan that she was claiming residency and had tenant rights to the property. And yeah, because she'd been there for more than 30 days, the law in Washington, D.C. backed her up on that claim. So, just like that, Rashan went from being a short-term rental host to being stuck in a landlord-tenant situation that she never agreed to. The only legal way to remove someone who claimed tenancy is to file an eviction case in court and then wait for a judge to order them out. And in DC, that process can take months, sometimes 6 months or even longer if the person fights it or files motions to delay it. And unfortunately, you have people who are professional at abusing laws like this and essentially steal people's homes.
So I know this does depend on what state you live in, but this could happen to you. And if all you were trying to do was get a simple rental and some passive income using Airbnb, now you have to deal with a squatter and all of this mess. Again, does not seem worth it to me. And we got another one up on screen right now. When your Airbnb guests completely destroy the Monopoly board. I know some hosts will have extras, little games or big games, like this full Monopoly board in the backyard, so the guests could play games, but now this is completely trashed, and I highly doubt it's going to be cheap to fix, along with having to change the Airbnb listing or completely have it off the market until you do repair it, which of course means you lose out on even more money. But let's switch over to the guest perspective with this example of a scam.
We caught a scammer host on Airbnb today. So let me tell you what happened so you can avoid it. I went to Airbnb's app to book my signature hotel room that is rentable instead of through MGM. And so I went and I sorted by price, and on the main screen of Airbnb it says all, new feature, all prices are complete, no hidden fees. So I went through and I picked the cheapest one, right? Who wouldn't? So I booked it, I paid, all was well. So the day before my trip, I got an email from the host saying I owed $250 more, and it was for resort fees. So I messaged the host. I'm like, what is this? This wasn't in the listing. They're like, oh, it's resort fees. They're unavoidable. We have to make you pay them. And so I paid them because I didn't want to lose my hotel room. But then I decided to message Airbnb and say, hey, you had false advertising because the price was not complete. So they did a little bit of research, and they found out that the host had changed their listing after I paid. It's a scam. So they made it look like I should have paid or should have known I was supposed to pay.
I don't know how they're allowed to adjust the listing in the first place, especially if it's already booked, but how many times do you think they got away with this until somebody finally spoke up and called them out for scamming for an extra $250 each? Here we got another example up on screen of a VRBO listing. If you don't know what they are, it's just another competitor to Airbnb, very similar. My group paid nearly $4,000 for a VRBO rental, drove 2 hours here, and the house is sold and empty. Sadly, hosts are supposed to honor active reservations, but they don't realize that, so they took the money and ran. I spent 3 hours on the phone with support because I was told less than 4 days before a reservation, oh, we don't rent that location anymore. That was 3 weeks ago, and we still don't have a refund. Airbnb was a fad that's crashing hard now. This is going to happen a lot more as people can't afford these expensive rentals, and landlords abandon them because they can't pay the mortgage. So they just sell it off real quick, possibly at a loss, and everybody else who reserved it is just completely screwed. And here we got another comment from you guys. I had a VRBO owner suddenly sell the house and refund my deposit 2 weeks before a vacation arrival. I had to scramble to find a hotel vacancy. I've had it. I'm just doing hotels from now on. At least this person got a refund, but still having to deal with all of that just a couple weeks before vacation completely sours the experience on Airbnbs for the future. And while all of this is happening, the prices just keep getting higher.
Is Airbnb a dead business? As an Airbnb host myself, people don't realize that about 2 months ago, the split structure has changed. Airbnb has been operating where the host pays a certain percent, and so the guest pays a certain percent as per booking. Now, the host has to pay a total of 15.5% for every transaction just to use their platform. Instead of one person just paying a big fee, it should just be split down the middle. You're both using the platform. Now what the hosts are doing is they're actually upcharging a nightly fee to make up for the host paying that 15.5%.
I'll never use Airbnb again. My one and only stay was in Paris. After a 5-star review, I was hit with a €200 damage charge for damages caused by the cleaning team, not us. I declined to pay and went through the whole appeal process, only to discover that it was AI that I've been dealing with the entire time, not a real person from customer service. An AI bot decided whether I should pay a €200 fee I wasn't responsible for. My card was charged and I can't get my money back. Never again. So you're going to have to deal with an AI bot if you run into any of these scam listings.
I just got into my Airbnb, and let me show you what I walked into. And then you can see the photos that were actually posted. So this is when you walk in. Doesn't look like much, right? Okay. We're going to go into the bathroom. Look, right? Okay, let's keep going. That's behind the toilet. We're still in the bathroom. Okay, let's make our way around. So as you can see, that goes around the whole perimeter of the place.
Okay, so this video goes on for a lot longer. There are a ton of problems, I mean mold everywhere, but in previous videos we've seen several more examples of this. All of the photos listing showing the best angles of the house or what it looked like a long time ago. And now with all the wear and tear and heavy use, it just becomes decrepit and now you're stuck with this house. I mean, you could see how nice the photos were compared to what she actually had. It's just absolutely ridiculous to me. Contact Airbnb, this should not be listed at all. Full refund immediately. Airbnb was contacted numerous times and they gave me an extremely hard time about the refund. Go to a hotel, Airbnb is a scam. The creator responds, it really is. Stop staying at Airbnb, they do not care about renters. It's false advertisement on every listing.
So I made a video several months ago talking about how Airbnb has just lost their mind, and so many of the sellers will price their units so highly and you get really nothing in return for the price that you pay. Well, this is exhibit A, B, C, D, E, F, G until Z, because we walked into a unit last night. We're paying $500 US a night for this unit, and this is probably the most horrific Airbnb that I've ever been to. It's in Aspen, Colorado, actually 30 minutes outside of Aspen. Snowmass. And I just have to show you guys what this is like. So we walk in, and first of all, there's just a man right here. We don't know who he is. He doesn't say a word. He's apparently fixing this, but like, doesn't say a word. He's just there. Okay, weird. Then we had to go and leave to go get food, and he was like, well, I'm not finished here, so I'm gonna stay here. Who are you? We have to leave all of our stuff now here with you. The Airbnb host didn't tell us that there was gonna be someone here, so now we have to leave all of our belongings with a stranger who could have easily just grabbed anything.
And again, this video goes on much longer, showing a whole bunch of other issues. She ended up having to lie to people to be able to get into the hot tub that was advertised. It's probably because you weren't allowed to have an Airbnb in this building in the first place. And now finally, after all of these issues, it's starting to crumble.
Good morning, good news! You might actually be able to finally afford a house, and it's all thanks to greedy Airbnb owners getting totally screwed. The fact is, the short-term Airbnb market is undergoing a massive crash. Rentals are down as much as 50% in states like Tennessee, Arizona, and Texas. And unlike traditional hotels whose business model anticipates seasonal demand on low margins, most new Airbnbs were bought above asking price with the expectation that they would bring in enough revenue to cover the mortgage and create passive income with a fully paid off house at the end of the road. But instead what happened is Airbnb prices became more expensive than hotels while travel slowed down. And people realized that they would rather stay in clean, comfortable lodging managed 24/7 by paid employees than at some investment property with a bunch of weird house rules and a $200 cleaning fee. So now those Airbnbs don't bring in enough revenue to cover the mortgage, and they're being forced to sell, which causes housing volume to go up and prices to go down, especially in oversaturated Airbnb markets like Phoenix and Houston. But that doesn't mean you can run out and buy a home just yet. Housing prices are still around an all-time peak, and interest rates are continuing to rise. But the collapse of the Airbnb market is an incredibly good sign for the near future, unless you own an Airbnb.
However, I will say this comment makes a very good point. It won't change a thing. The banks buy them above asking price just to keep the prices up. And then they get listed for rent at a ludicrous price and just stay dormant. But there's even more comments. Dallas just banned Airbnbs. I was going to buy a house and some company bought it out from under me in cash for Airbnb. And now because they know how bad it's getting, they're starting to sponsor influencers to make it seem like everything's okay. You can make some easy passive money.
I started hosting on Airbnb in 2020 and I have not had to pay my mortgage out of pocket since then. It was actually a lot easier than you'd think, so I'm going to give you a step-by-step guide on everything that I did.
And going over to the description, I started hosting my @Airbnb in 2020, and it's been one of the best financial decisions I've made. #Airbnb partner. So this guy legitimately had to be paid to make this video, and then we go over to the comment section. Somebody says, wow, I'm doing this. And the creator responds, I'll help you. And we could head over to another clip with just another one of these course sellers.
I own and operate a six-figure Airbnb arbitrage business. This is exactly how I would do it if I was restarting. If you're not familiar with Airbnb arbitrage, it's where you rent other people's homes, sublease them with their permission, listed on third-party platforms like Airbnb. Currently operate 18 units, some being arbitrage, some being management.
Okay, so immediately red flags. Going over to the comments, do landlords actually allow this? I highly doubt it, but it's their home, they get the profit, right? How do landlords benefit from this? Like, how would I convince them to do this? Exactly. Good luck finding any landlord who would allow it. They would just do it if you were making money subletting the house. But not surprising whatsoever, going over to the account, we got a link how I went from $0 to $156,000 a month with Airbnb. You click it and it goes to a course that's $29.99. $0 to $10,000 a month with Airbnb. My starter kit, 20 months ago, 0 Airbnb properties. Today, 17 units and $150,000 a month. But then just a few lines later, it says my best month was $17,000 in revenue. That's a pretty big difference from $150,000 a month. That's how bad the expenses are for all of these units, if it's even true in the first place. I wouldn't doubt that all of this is just a funnel to get people to pay for his course, because this kind of stuff is not nearly as easy as you think.
Airbnbs, all the people that talk about how much money they make with them don't bring up. They have 3 problems that people don't bring up. Problem number 1, there's a ton of hassle, a lot of details, a lot of work involved in getting the people in, getting them out, getting them cleaned. Problem number 2 with Airbnbs is you have a lot of extra maintenance. People tear the crap out of your property. Nobody talks about that. That's the dirty little secret of Airbnbs. You're constantly buying carpet. You're constantly buying paint and drywall repair. The third thing that nobody's talking about is several areas are now passing zoning prohibiting it.
Right.
And so if you set your whole model up only on Airbnb, you could have the rug jerked out from under you. If the only way the deal works is Airbnb, don't do the deal.
And we have a perfect example of somebody who jumped in headfirst and are now selling their property because their Airbnb is not making enough money.
So I sold my Airbnb. I'm in it right now for the last time. I'm going to take down the Ring cameras, but it's going to be selling in a couple days, and let me tell you why. So I had this property on Airbnb, I want to say for 4 months. I know in the beginning it's slow and you have to start off your reviews and build it up and things like that. But I never hit the numbers that AirDNA gave me, and I never was hitting any numbers that anybody else gave me. So every month I calculated after the second month of doing Airbnb and thinking I was doing good because I had people in here every weekend, I was losing about $2,000 a month having this Airbnb. So I talked to a couple of my mentors and I said, do I weather this storm and eat the 2,000 until spring and summer come back and pray that the rent amount will go up? And they told me no. They said, sell it now, walk away. Even if you walk away with no money, it's better than bleeding $2,000 a month.
So she went and talked to a couple of her mentors, which means she's paying for a course. And even they told her to give it up. Sell the property, you're losing too much money. And just a prime example of this not being nearly as easy as it sounds, along with these mentors and gurus not working out.
I'm deep cleaning my rental after I just had a traveling nurse tenant move out after living here for 4 months. She was a great tenant and I would definitely do Furnish Finder again, but I am temporarily turning it back on Airbnb just for the next month and a half. And then I'm actually planning on hopefully selling it. We will definitely lose money by selling this place, so that's a really hard pill for me to swallow. But ultimately what it comes down to is money's not worth everything, and choosing happiness and letting go of this like negative experience I think is going to be more worth it in the end. Like if we held on to it, would we probably make money from this? Yes. But that would be years and years from now, and honestly, like I just don't think that's worth it. Anyway, hopefully this can be a lesson learned to somebody else out there. Just really do your research and crunch the numbers to make sure that everything makes sense. We had to put way more money into this place than we had budgeted when we were renovating it, and that's kind of where everything took a turn.
I don't know about you, but this doesn't seem like passive income to me, especially what was on the screen, her having to clean the whole house, and it not being worth the headache either. All for the hope that it would eventually become profitable years from now.
How often is it being booked on Airbnb?
Every weekend's usually booked.
If it's rented every weekend, what do you bring in a weekend?
I look at it by the month. That's the way you got to look at it.
Fine, monthly, what comes in?
On average, around 5,000. That's it.
So what are you struggling with? Because that makes you break even.
Well, no, if the mortgage is $5,300 and then you have the $1,000 in cleaning fees and then you have the pool cleaner and you have the electric and all the utilities. No, you're not. I'm literally underwater every month. It's at least $7,000 to run it.
Okay, so I think you guys get the point. We're just going to finish off this video with a comment from you guys. Airbnb was intended to allow people to rent out their own vacation homes that they already owned. Before then, you had to know someone personally to rent out their beach house, and this opened it up to everyone. As soon as people tried to make it a business instead of just some extra cash, it was doomed. And I mean, other than somehow lowering the prices, I don't see this making a comeback anytime soon. So that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. YouTube thinks you'll like this video popping up on screen right now, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, and I'll talk to you guys later.